Yes guys, Danny here, welcome back to the YouTube channel. I hope everyone is well. Today is the 13th of December. We are 12 days away from the big day and I hope everyone is excited. Unfortunately, I've lost my voice a little bit, but the show must go on. Today we have an interview or a couple of questions with the St Albans goalkeeper, Michael Johnson. He's been a cracking lad and he's allowed to have me 5-10 minutes of his time so I can sit down, talk to him about goalkeeping, considering it's the 13th of December, his best moments, but also some advice for you guys out there who might be looking to become goalkeepers. I know a few of you are a part of the goalkeeper union, so this might be really interesting for you. Please make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the video, and yeah, let's get straight into it. Okay, so yes, I have got Michael Johnson with me today. I'll introduce him and I'll let him introduce himself in just a moment. But this is the St Albans goalkeeper. He's gladly given me 5-10 minutes of his time to sit down, talk to you guys about his goalkeeping, his biggest moments, his worst moments. So yeah, I'm not gonna interrupt you and disrespect you. Do you want to introduce yourself to anyone who may know you or may not know who you are?
Yeah, of course. So yeah, I'm Michael Johnson. Currently playing for St Albans City FC, albeit on the injury table at the moment due to a broken finger. But yeah, I've been there for three years now. It's my third season, and really enjoying it.
Perfect. That sums it up brilliantly. Let's go all the way back to when you were. We've got a lot of kids watching, a lot of the youth of my academy. To when you were that age, who were you playing for? Were you a goalkeeper? I know a lot of goalkeepers have other positions. What teams were you playing for until all the way up until you joined St Albans? So do you want to go through that very quickly for me?
Yeah, of course. So first of all, I wasn't a goalkeeper. I was a midfielder.
Everyone's a different position, aren't they? Everyone's a different position.
Yeah, it was one of them ones where I was out on pitch. So I was about 14. A school game come around, and I went in goal for it for the first time ever. Just kind of put my hand up because I could kick the ball quite far. I think that was what qualified me pretty much. And funnily enough, it was a game in Watford at quite a nice school. And the referee was a scout for Luton back when, well, there was in the Championship a few years ago. I think some of your boys will be a bit too young to remember that, but they're back there now. And told me to come along. So I went and trained there for about 4 or 5 months. I hated it. Did not enjoy it at all. But thought, well, if a team like Luton saw something in me, then I've got to carry on. It's a sign. So carried on, even though I didn't enjoy it and didn't have a good experience of it. Kind of took it upon myself at a very young age, 14, 15, to learn how to play in goal. And the majority of that was through either watching on TV or in real life. I went and watched a few Stevenage games a few times. And YouTube. I watched a lot of videos on YouTube just on real basic techniques and movements and things like that, and kind of went from there. Never got into an academy at any point. Was never in the professional game, apart from a brief spell a couple of years ago. And yeah, kind of took it upon myself to kind of progress through Colts levels and through non-league and get to where I am now.
That's brilliant. Look, a lot of goalkeepers are being told, you've got to be like 8 or 9 as a goalkeeper now. Like for you to say, look, you got picked up at 14, 15 and you were just starting out in the position, that's crazy. It's unheard of really, because you look at kids now, I've seen kids, especially we had a tournament last summer and kids are being picked up at under 6s. And it's ridiculous because, you know, these kids have barely kicked a ball and you're like, well, how do you know they're going to be this type of player? So for you to be like, look, I'll put my hand up. I was very similar. Put my hand up when I was 8, 9, and then from then goalkeeping just became everything. You mentioned like YouTube videos and training. How important is training for you? Like a lot of them, they go and train 3-4 times a week. How many times a week do you train, or was training the most important thing for you, or was it just about having fun and playing? And so what was the experience like for you?
I do think at that age it is really important, and it's getting more important nowadays because a lot of kids at a very young age are very serious about football, and you can see the social media followings that some of the more popular ones get. You know, you can also become you can live the life of a footballer before you've got anywhere. You could be 10, have 1 million followers on Instagram, and all of a sudden you've got a platform. But to me, it's crucial what you do behind the scenes in the dark is what's going to make you perform in the light. So for me, yeah, it's really important. The problem with me is that I never had the level of coaching available to me that I needed. So it really was on my own back to learn through theory and by seeing things on the computer screen and then trying to implement that if and when I could. Funnily enough, when I was 15, the team I was playing for, one of the manager's sons was in goal. So I never really got the chance for that first year to get a go in goal. There's only once that I said I think I'd probably leave the team if I didn't get a chance, that I then played and it built from there. But training's so important. It's probably one of my biggest regrets, that probably not doing a bit more and maybe not being distracted so much off the pitch. Probably could have gone further in my time. And there's still time, of course. I'm still young for a goalkeeper.
Now, 29, 30?
Yeah, and I think when I was 27, I felt like it was now or never. But, the longer it's gone on the last couple of years, I've realised that it's not that straightforward. And, if you want to achieve something, you've got to stick at it. And if you're committed enough to it and want it enough, then 99 times out of 100, you'll get to where you want to. You just can't cut the corners.
Look, that sums it up perfectly. I wonder what that team is now saying now, to think that they could have had someone in goal other than the manager's son at that level. They're probably kicking themselves now. They probably could have kept you. Let's talk about your career. Obviously, with St Albans at the moment, goalkeeping for me is something where only the biggest and worst moments of your career are looked at. You could win a game 8-1, but no one talks about the saves that you make. They talk about the goals that are scored. What's your biggest or your best goalkeeping career moment? So it could be a team thing, or it could be something where you look at and go, you know what, no one's actually highlighted this before, but that's actually something that's made me deep down go, I'm really proud of that, or I really want to highlight that.
I always think about this question because when you look back, you want to have something to define yourself by. But for me, it's two moments. One which not many people know about, and one which is very popular because it was obviously with St Albans in the FA Cup. So you obviously got beaten Forest Green. I felt like I played well on the night. Was a bit disappointed with their second goal, but kind of made up for it with a save right at the end. But yeah, that's obviously quite a well-known highlight. And the other one was at Hitchin. It was in the playoff semi-final. I think it was a Tuesday night and was in Merthyr, which is obviously South Wales. And I can't say we got out of our half more than 4 times in 120 minutes. But I must have single-handedly kept us in the game in extra time. And I remember making a save, a header from a corner from about 6 yards. I think it was the 120th minute. It was literally the last kick of the game. And somehow tipped it over the crossbar. And I remember looking around and there was people on the floor and people with their hands on their head. They couldn't believe it. And I think one of our strikers come and kissed me on the head, and I knew what an important moment that was. And in my one penalties, I saved 2 out of the 3 penalties I faced. I went through to the final, and they're probably my 2 biggest highlights, I'd say.
What year was that? I'll try and find a clip. I think that was when I was on YouTube earlier. There was a clip of it, but I want to just double check. Do you know what year it was?
Oh God, I'd be stabbing in the dark. I want to say 15, 16. Don't know why that's coming to my mind, but it might have been there. I know I've got highlights from YouTube, and somewhere in there is a real grainy video from behind the goal of a save from a corner. It was ever recorded. So there was a save in the first half of extra time, which was deflected, and I was going the wrong way and stuck my left hand behind me and tipped it onto the post. And that I've never seen a highlight of that, and it's gutted me because I think that was a better save.
Technology now, yeah, you sort of wish that everything was being recorded, and like the kids get recorded now, and I'm like, mate, if I would be able to give my highlights or this, that, the other, I'd be showing off to everyone.
Exactly that.
Go to the complete opposite end of the spectrum. For me, like when I was growing up, my dad would always say, your worst mistakes will make you as a player. Yeah. Do you have a moment you'll look back on and you'll go, I wish I had a second chance at doing that a little bit differently, or there's a save maybe that you've had an absolute howler and you just got to stand and laugh by it? Are there any moments that you sort of look at and go, I've just got to put my hands up, my bad, and move forward?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's a few. there always will be a few as a goalkeeper. God, probably the worst one. We lost 3-0, so it doesn't. It feels like it didn't affect the result, but it did because it was 1-0 at the time. Our manager at Hitchin was under pressure, funnily enough, and we were playing. I think they were top of the league, Weymouth at home, and it had rained all day, all week. There was puddles. I don't know how the game went ahead. And a cross came in. I was really low on confidence at the time, which is obviously quite a big thing in goalkeeping. And I was young, so I didn't know how to deal with that. And a cross just come floating into the near post. And I don't know why, for some reason, I just didn't catch the ball. And it was so embarrassing because the ball was coming in so slow. It was such an easy take. But yeah, it just went through my hands, went over the line. Their crowd were all singing, your manager's going to get sacked in the morning, it's all your fault. And I was only a young 21-year-old with not much experience. So that's probably my most haunting one, I'd say. There's definitely more, but yeah, it's probably the most haunting one.
You have those ones, don't you, where it's like you become unconscious for a second, like you sort of wake up and the mistakes happen and you go, oh, like that's happened. Like I wasn't even in the moment, like my brain's gone blank. So I completely agree with you on that sort of thing. And did he get sacked in the end? Was it technically?
Still there now.
You can still be like, look, I've still got my career, you've still got yours. It's all good. We can move on. So
let's talk about the position of a goalkeeper. You said you weren't a goalkeeper to start. For me, I feel like goalkeeping is a lonely position. It's something where you, like we talked about, your highlights and your mistakes. You're on your own with everything, and you have the goalkeepers union. We'll talk about that in just a moment, but mental health as a goalkeeper, for me, is going to be something where you need to focus on. What are your opinions on mental health as a goalkeeper and it being a lonely position?
Huge. It's something that I've got a long-standing battle within my family tree. From my dad's side, it kind of runs through him and my brother, and to an extent me. I think I've built up a lot of resilience over the years to be a bit stronger than most, so I can deal with it a lot better now, especially with age. But yeah, obviously around the age of 20, 21 was my main struggles, because I was just coming into a level of football where I'd never been at before, with really no experience. When things didn't go to plan, it really got on top of me and I struggled to cope. So I remember reading an article which then led me to getting a book, and I can't remember the book. I've got the article somewhere stored up and I will forever have it, because I remember the impact it had on me, and I think it was about choking in elite sport. I just remember reading it and thinking that's me. I get it. It might not be an elite sport, but you can resonate to things so easily when you pick words and sentences out. You can apply it to anything you want to. It just taught me to break things down. And I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not. I still struggle when I make mistakes now. But it's nowhere near like it used to be. So yeah, you get a lot of anxiety and worry, and you're fearful, and the biggest thing that I realised is it's never going to help you play better with them things in your mind, or at least not being at peace with them things in your mind. Every player has them, whether they're a goalkeeper or an outfielder. Obviously it's more exaggerated as a goalkeeper because you're by yourself, and usually you can't run away from your problems because you can't leave your box most of the time. So yeah, people have got to find their own coping mechanisms, what works for them. For me, it's what helps is that I know that win, lose or draw, when I leave the pitch, I'm going to have my friends, I'm going to have my family. The people there to support me will still be there. And also belief in your own ability. If you're a good goalkeeper, then believe it and truly believe that, because it will carry you a long way.
Now, thank you for sharing that. That means a lot, and I think a lot of people are in the same boat, especially in that position. I think I know the book that you're on about. There's quite a few, especially within elite sport, with articles about tennis and how they're on their own and it's just them. And if they make a mistake, they've got to live with that. If they have a success, they've got to live with that too. And it's about building the blocks to finding yourself and being like that. So that's really important. Thank you for sharing that. But look, let's talk about the goalkeeper union. Obviously, every goalkeeper that joins it is unintentionally joining it. They don't even know they've joined it until they're getting a text from someone saying, "Oh, cracking game the other day" or something like that. Who are the goalkeepers that you've liked the most to play with, or the goalkeeping coaches that have impacted you the most? I know at the moment, obviously, you're training with I saw him the other day. Is it Dylan Berry with St Albans? He had a great game on Saturday, and it seemed that you two had a really good rapport. But are there any goalkeepers or goalkeeper coaches that you've worked with? You've gone, look, you know what? I could always call you up on a Saturday night after I've had a howler or after I've had a good game, and just talk about life, talk about goalkeeping, and just be one big community.
Yeah, definitely. So I've probably worked with only about 5 or 6, I reckon, in my career. So it's not that many. But my first port of call would have been a guy called Stretch. Richard Wilmot is his real name. This is a Hitchin. Funny enough, he's the father of Ben Wilmot, who plays for Stoke.
Yeah.
So you know, I've always had a good link there, and he was always so good at being a calming influence for me and balancing it out and giving me positives when I felt negative, and when I was too positive, also giving me things to work on to not get too carried away. He was a very level-headed man, and kind of was a real father figure for me in football. Because at the time, it was a very manly changing room. I was a young boy, and it can get on top of me, and he really helped to just keep me calm and focused. And then another one would be Glenn Johnson, at Dagenham and Redbridge before COVID happened. It must have been about maybe 3 months. And I still keep in contact with him now. Was brilliant for advice. He was a brilliant coach as well. Really good coach. And I learned a lot in a real short space of time with limited practice and time on the field. You know, he taught me a lot. And real good people. I think you find that goalkeepers and goalkeeper coaches tend to be really good people because we all, obviously, as you know, appreciate the position and the job that we do. And that it's slightly different to any other. And that obviously creates a bond. Yeah, I'd say them two for sure.
Yeah, I think there's no bond in any other position. You don't see like right backs always appreciating like the good tackle or the good overlap they've made. But whenever I'm watching a game, I'm always observing the goalkeeper as much as I can and trying to give his praises. Like in the crowd, they're always looking at maybe the striker's shot, but you never know. Like they could have tipped it, they could have touched it just a little bit wide, and I'm always got that little eye out. But so it's always like a good community to have. So that's brilliant. Let's talk about players you've played against. Speaking of those pesky strikers, have you got a striker who is like your bogey striker? Like one you think, you look at the team sheet on a Saturday and you go, oh no, not today. I thought he was injured, or is he playing there? Or anyone like that?
I've got to think about this.
A striker you look at the team sheet, or you know, we know we've got this team today. Like he's gonna run me riot, or he's gonna put a hard game against me.
Do you know what? I genuinely don't think there is. I'm sure there's someone in the back of my mind I've not got the name of yet that has scored a few against me. But I don't tend to fear players. I embrace the battle because I want to stop them from scoring. Probably my friends. You know what? When I used to play against my friends, because a lot of my real close friends I've met through football and know from playing the same team, and then ventured out. And there's 3 that I've played against so many times, and they never ever scored against me. And then one game, it was Hitchin v Biggleswade, and they beat us maybe 2-1, 3-1, and one of them scored. And it's been 1 goal between the 3 of them in maybe about 20 games. And for months, I never heard the end of it. We have a group chat, and whenever football get brought up, the video of the goal will be put in, and then do running commentary on it every time, and it's just unlimited banter. So yeah, that was Liam Brooks. He's like one of my best friends. So yeah, I'd probably say that's the one person I don't like playing against, because I never want to let him score against me. But obviously, I still embrace the challenge of trying to stop him, because he's a good player.
You got a message for him now, that maybe to give some banter in the group chat later on? Have you got a little message you could give him, just to say that I'm on the YouTube channel, I'm talking about you? And
well, he's in a league below me, so there's nothing to worry about for now.
That's what I'm talking about! World Cup's on at the moment. Have you been watching the World Cup? I'm hoping a little bit. Obviously, England as well. Who's the best goalkeeper in the world for you right now? And what do you find they stand out with? That's the elite of the elite.
Yeah, I'm a Liverpool fan, so my answer's going to be Alisson, but I think it's him and Neuer are probably neck and neck. And the only reason that I say Alisson is because, not just because I support Liverpool. I don't think that can play a part in it because I'm quite impartial. But I get to watch him week in, week out, and how he plays, and he's just everything you want in a modern goalkeeper. He's quick off his line, he's good with his feet, he's dominant in the air, he makes real crucial saves. But there's a presence about him. And not many goalkeepers have it. And when they do, it's because they're on a class above. And it's just a presence that puts strikers off. Makes him feel like strikers will look at him and think he's bigger in the goal than what he really is. And that is the 1% that you need to be a top goalkeeper, because Alisson was obviously, in my opinion, the best in the world, but there's not going to be a lot between him and the ones that are just below. But the 1%, the 1% are the fact that he seems to put strikers off, and they almost feel like they're going to miss before they've even shot. And not every goalkeeper has that effect on attackers, and that's just sheer presence of mind and his ability. Everyone knows what kind of goalkeeper he is, and he's consistent, which is probably the most important ability to have.
And so this is one of my under-9 goalkeepers. Let me know if you can see it. Can you see that?
Yes.
Let me get this out of the way, and I'll edit it normally. So we had a goalkeeping competition last year where essentially you had to enter one of your saves, and this was the one that won it. And he said to me, he was like, if you're going to speak to Michael Johnson, you got to show him my save. You got to show him my save. So I thought I'd show you the courtesy. So I'll play it a few times and just let me know what you think. I think it's for his age, and he was under 8 at this time. So year 2 or year 3.
Yeah.
I'll let the video explain for itself. It's only a very small clip. We actually managed to catch it whilst training, but I'll let you play it now. So.
Oh.
The way he's thrown himself at the just at the penalty.
I love that. Look where he's ended up.
And he's moved himself around.
Taking one step and he's top. Wow. Strong hand. He's landed in line with the post from the middle of the goal. I couldn't do that.
And here, I want as a goalkeeper that's been successful in their career, playing for all these teams, being able to sort of make a living off of it as well. What's your advice to young goalkeepers out there at the moment, the ones which are training week in, week out? We spoke about the importance of training, or maybe even ones that are struggling at 16, 17, maybe just been released or wanting to look to do more. What leaving advice could you give to them, just to say, look, this is what I'm, from a goalkeeper to a goalkeeper, this is my advice?
Yeah, 100%. I always say there's 3 things that are really important. Number 1 is, if it's what you want, then you've got to commit to it. No days off. You can't get sucked into things outside of football that will distract you and hinder you. I've done that, and it stopped me from going higher than where I am now. And that's a regret that I'll live with. So don't have regrets. Commit to it. Train, learn, ask questions. Never be afraid to ask questions. If it's something you're unsure on, something you need advice on, there's goalkeepers all over the world that will answer and listen to you. I'm one of them. Always approachable. My messages are always open for anyone that has any questions or any advice, or even if they want to show me a video of their games and be impressed by what they've done. I'd always be open to talk and help and advise. And then thirdly is belief. Have confidence in what you do and who you are. Don't let anyone deter you or tell you what you can and can't be. You define your own path and you control your destiny. And if you're 100% committed and believe in that, then the world's your oyster.
I love that. Controlling your own destiny, making sure that you're the one that's writing your own story and pushing yourself to where you want to be, not letting anyone else take control and sort of saying, oh, you can go and sit over here. So thank you very much for today. Look, I've loved having a conversation with you. It's been really informative, and I think you've said a lot. When are we going to see you back in that green St Albans top? When are we going to see you back?
Well, I'll go back to hospital on Thursday. I'm going to start straightening the finger out now. As you can see, it's not very straight. So I've got a bit of work to do there, but hopefully by the new year, I look to be back in training and building up fitness and strength from there, and be back in the team in 2023.
You're going to miss the Hemel games. Yeah, you're going to miss the Boxing Day and New Year's Day.
I think I am, but I'm not going to admit that just yet. I'm going to give myself as much time as possible. And obviously we've got Dylan, who's been superb since he's come. So it'll never be a case where I think I should be walking back in because I have to earn my place. And yeah, whether it's me or him, I'm sure we'll do a great job for the team and get the 6 points from the 2 games.
Brilliant. Are there anything? Is any like socials or any programs or pages you want to quickly shout out?
I would say like, I've got Instagram. I honestly can't remember what it is. I think it's Michael J Johnson _ or something like that. Have a look, and if you like I said, if you have any questions or need any advice, feel free to message me. It's always open. And definitely have got a pair of gloves for that young boy for the save. So if you can somehow get me in touch with him, I'd be more than happy to give him a pair of gloves.
Absolutely, you'll be buzzing to hear that. But look, thank you guys for watching this interview. I've been Danny, that's been Michael, and we will see you guys next time for another video. Peace.